The upcoming episodes Thursday and Friday, May 2nd, are packed with high-stakes drama that will shatter relationships, rattle alliances, and leave hearts broken across Salem. Let's take a closer look at how Salem's favorite characters are about to face some of the hardest choices of their lives. Thursday, May 1st. Secrets, schemes, and desperation erupt in Salem. Philip and Gabby's explosive clash over power and pride in the elegant, high-rise offices of Titan Industries. The tension is so thick you could slice it with a letter opener. Gabby Hernandez, fierce and unapologetically ambitious, storms into Philip Kiriakis' office, demanding answers and, more importantly, control. She wants to take Gabby Chic back into her own hands to run it as she sees fit. But Philip, equally determined and increasingly consumed by internal battles with Xander Cook, refuses to bow to Gabby's demands. Their verbal jousting becomes personal. Gabby, fueled by passion and pride, accuses Philip of letting his vendettas cloud his judgment. Philip, tired of the relentless war over Titan's direction, warns her that aligning Gabby Chic too closely with Titan will drag her brand into the chaos he's barely managing. The argument intensifies as old wounds reopen, power plays get dirtier, and mutual respect turns to thinly veiled contempt. This isn't just a boardroom spat. It's a war for dominance, and neither intends to lose. Stephanie and Kayla's hidden project could change everything in a quieter part of Salem. Secrets of a different kind begin to take shape. Stephanie Johnson shares a deeply personal secret with her mother, Kayla Brady. She's been working on a novel. But this isn't just any story. It's a manuscript titled One Stormy Night, a tale so emotionally raw and close to home that it's bound to cause ripples when discovered. Stephanie isn't ready to reveal it to anyone, especially not to Alex Kiriakis. But fate has other plans. Alex, snooping around or perhaps simply being too curious for his own good, comes across the manuscript. As he flips through the pages, his expression hardens. Is he a character in this book? Is the story a veiled commentary on their complicated relationship? The discovery may derail any chance of reconciliation and force Stephanie to confront emotions she thought she had buried long ago. Shaun's moral crisis. A son on the edge across town, Shaun Brady is unraveling. The weight of watching his father, Bo Brady, deteriorate is crushing him. Desperate, he approaches Steve Johnson with a plea for help. Shaun's voice trembles as he explains that Dr. Jeffrey Russell has flat-out refused to administer a controversial but potentially life-saving experimental drug. Russell denied Kayla Brady as well, and the hospital is holding its ground. But for Shaun, this is a matter of life and death, and he's prepared to cross a line. He floats the unthinkable, stealing the drug. Steve is horrified, torn between helping his friend's son and preventing a crime that could ruin Shaun's life. The scene is gut-wrenching, as Shaun's anguish bleeds through every word. His desperation paints a picture of a son willing to sacrifice everything, including his own future, to try and save his father. Leo's cryptic offer to Javi. A new web begins to weave. Meanwhile, the ever-scheming Leo Stark finds himself in another cloak and dagger rendezvous, this time with Javi Hernandez. Leo, never one to act without an ulterior motive, leans in with a sly grin and offers Javi a suggestion. Though exactly what the offer is remains shrouded in mystery. What does Leo want? What is he dangling in front of Javi? Power? Influence? Revenge? Given Leo's past exploits, this cryptic proposal could be the start of yet another Salem scandal. And if Javi says yes, the consequences could be swift, scandalous, and irreversible. Friday, May 2nd. Confrontations, collapse, and a city on edge. Johnny's confession breaks Chanel's heart. And more, the day begins with heartbreak as Johnny DiMera drops a bombshell on Chanel Dupree. Standing in the soft morning light of the DiMera mansion, he confesses with trembling voice he cannot go through with the adoption. Chanel, shocked and shattered, searches his eyes for an explanation, but the damage is done. She lashes out, accusing Johnny of betrayal not just to her, but to Sophia Choi, the young mother whose hopes for her child were placed in their hands. Chanel had imagined a future, a family, and now it's all gone. The scene is raw, emotional, and devastating as the camera lingers on Chanel's tear-streaked face and Johnny's tortured silence. Tate's rage ignites a violent clash later that evening. Emotions boil over at the Salem Inn. Tate Black, already seething with frustration, confronts Johnny in the lobby. Fueled by anger over how Chanel has been treated and perhaps harboring feelings of his own, Tate throws a punch literally. The two young men brawl, a whirlwind of fists and fury that shocks the onlookers. The altercation is about more than just Chanel. It's about pride, pain, and a generation of Salem's youth caught in cycles of impulsive choices and emotional fallout. Security intervenes, but the message is clear. Peace is a distant dream, and the next generation is no less volatile than the last. EJ's quiet orders may spark big trouble in a darkened corner of the DiMera estate. EJ DiMera is deep in thought. He calls in his trusted associate, Rita, and assigns her a new task, one that could change the game. Though he says little, the intent behind his words is clear. Something is brewing, and EJ's desire to cement his hold over the DiMera dynasty is about to shift into overdrive. This isn't about simple strategy anymore, it's about legacy, vengeance, and domination. Marlena's steady hand in turbulent times, and finally, in the eye of the storm stands Marlena Evans, the quiet matriarch who remains a guiding light. As Belle Black finds herself at a crossroads, it is Marlena who offers the wisdom only a mother and a trained psychiatrist can give. She speaks of resilience, of knowing when to hold on and when to let go, of trusting yourself even when the world feels unstable. Their conversation is a tender reprieve from the chaos, a reminder that in Salem, even amid destruction, love and wisdom can still find a way through. Final thoughts. A storm has arrived in Salem with relationships crumbling, betrayals brewing, and old wounds reopening. Days of Our Lives is diving headfirst into a tidal wave of drama. These two episodes, airing May 1st and 2nd, promise to challenge every character's morals, desires, and loyalties. Next, a stormy encounter in Salem. Doug and Philip's first confrontation leaves deep scars. The quiet halls of the Kiriakis' mansion are about to witness an explosion of truth, emotion, and unexpected connections. For the first time, Doug and Philip come face to face, and it is not a friendly meeting. What begins as a quiet day in Salem quickly spirals into a tense encounter that uncovers secrets, exposes bitter grievances, and threatens to forever change the dynamics of the household. Let's begin at the beginning. When Doug, down on his luck and desperate for a second chance, quietly returns to the mansion that once represented safety and familiarity. But this time he comes not as a guest, not even as a friend, but as a man with nowhere else to go. Unseen and unheard, Doug has been quietly living in the shadows of the Kiriakis' home, hiding in one of the guest rooms thanks to the kindness of young Holly, the only person who knows his secret. Earlier in the day, Doug hears voices in the hallway. It's Maggie and Philip engaged in a heated conversation. Carefully, he presses his ear to the wall and listens. Outside, Philip is trying to explain himself, trying to justify the choices he's made. Doug stays hidden, hoping to avoid detection, but what he hears stirs something deep within him. After the conversation ends, Holly returns to the room where Doug is holed up. She's surprised to find him still there. She wants to tell Maggie the truth, that Doug is hiding in the house. But Doug pleads with her to wait just a little longer. He's hopeful. He's just received a phone call for a possible job interview, and if it goes well, he could finally leave the mansion with some dignity. Holly, trusting him, agrees to keep quiet for now. She grabs her coat and heads out to get pizza, leaving Doug alone with his thoughts and a flicker of hope. But Doug's hope is short-lived. As he prepares to sneak out for the interview, he hears footsteps in the hallway. He peeks through the crack in the door and sees Maggie confronting Philip. This time, the gloves are off. Maggie, normally the picture of grace and calm, is livid. She lashes out at Philip with years of pent-up disappointment. "You lied," she says, her voice cracking with anger. "You lied about Victor's will, about your inheritance. How could you?" Philip, wounded but defiant, insists that his father always wanted him to be a part of the family legacy. He claims he was only taking what was rightfully his. But Maggie isn't buying it. "There are legal ways to claim what you believe is yours," she says sharply. "But you chose the coward's path, deception." Her voice softens for a moment, but her message remains firm. "I have too much on my plate to deal with this. With you. I need peace in this house. Please, just go. Before anyone else gets home." Philip, shaken, doesn't argue. He gathers his things silently, his pride wounded, his future uncertain. Once the coast is clear, Doug makes his move, but fate has one more twist in store. As he tiptoes through the hall, trying to sneak away without notice, he finds himself face to face with the very man Maggie had just confronted, Philip. There's a long silence. The kind of silence that feels like it lasts forever. Philip narrows his eyes and says with suspicion, "Who the hell are you?" Doug knows the game is up. There's no use hiding anymore. He takes a breath, then tells Philip everything about how he has been secretly living in the mansion, how Holly helped him stay out of sight, how he's trying to get his life together again after a string of bad luck. Philip listens, not with compassion exactly, but with a certain quiet understanding. Perhaps he sees something of himself in Doug, a man who made mistakes and is now trying to crawl back from the brink. When Doug finishes his story, Philip doesn't explode. He simply nods. "I'm not going to lie for you," he says plainly. "But I'm not going to rat you out either." Doug exhales in relief. It's not friendship. It's not forgiveness. But it's something. A truce between two broken men, both trying to find a way forward in a world that seems intent on leaving them behind. Philip then reveals that he's moving out today. He's done with the mansion, with the fighting, with the ghosts of a family that never quite accepted him. He promises Doug that whatever happens next, his secret is safe. At least for now. The two men part ways, not as friends, but as weary strangers who have seen too much and trusted too little. And as the sun sets over Salem, the mansion grows quiet again. But beneath its polished floors and elegant chandeliers, new secrets now lie buried, and they won't stay hidden forever. In Salem, the truth always finds a way out, and when it does, it will leave no one untouched.